Lawyers of Reddit, what was your oh damn moment in court? I was defending a 19-year-old kid named Marcus, accused of vandalizing his neighbor's brand new Tesla with spray paint. The neighbor, this guy in his mid-40s named Richard, had ring footage showing someone in a red Adidas hoodie doing it at night. My client owned that exact hoodie and wore it constantly. We were absolutely screwed. The prosecutor had shown the footage during opening statements. Clear as day. Red hoodie, black joggers, white sneakers, everything Marcus owned. His parents had already spent $3,000 on my retainer and were panicking about the potential $8,000 restitution costs, plus a criminal record that would destroy their son's college scholarship. Richard took the stand looking smug as hell. Perfectly pressed suit, expensive watch, that condescending smile rich people get when they think they've already won. He described the whole thing in perfect detail. How he heard scraping sounds outside his bedroom window. How he rushed to look out. How he saw the vandal running away toward the end of the street. Then he said something that made my pen stop mid-sentence. It happened at exactly 11:47 p.m. on Tuesday, March 14th. I'll never forget it. I wrote that down twice. Something felt off about how confident he was with that specific timestamp. Most people say around midnight or late that night, but 11:47 p.m.? That's oddly precise. Mr. Richard, that's very specific. How do you remember the exact minute this occurred? I checked my watch immediately when I heard the noise outside. It's a habit of mine. I pulled up the ring footage on the courtroom monitor. The timestamp in the corner showed 11:52 p.m. Sir, you just testified under oath that you heard the noise and checked your watch at 11:47 p.m. But the footage clearly shows the vandalism occurring at 11:52 p.m. So you're telling this court you heard it happen 5 minutes before it actually happened? His face drained of all color. He started stammering something about his watch running fast. Maybe the ring camera was off. He wasn't sure anymore. I asked the judge for permission to reference the original police report Richard filed the morning after the incident. In it, he clearly stated he was asleep during the entire incident and only discovered the vandalism the next morning at 7:30 a.m. when he went outside and then checked his ring footage. The prosecutor jumped up objecting, but the judge shot her a look and told her to sit back down. Even he looked suspicious now. I kept pushing. Mr. Richard, in your police report from March 15th, you explicitly told Officer Martinez that you were asleep during the incident. Now you're testifying you were awake, heard it happen, and checked your watch. Which version is the truth? I must have misspoken in the report. I was stressed. You misspoke about being completely asleep versus being awake and watching it happen? That's not a small detail, sir. He went quiet. His lawyer whispered something to him, but Richard just shook his head. I could see the prosecutor's shoulders tense up. She knew something had gone terribly wrong with her star witness. Mr. Richard, isn't it true that you spray painted your own Tesla after seeing my client wearing that red hoodie in your driveway 2 days before the incident? That's absolutely ridiculous and offensive. Then please explain to the court why the spray paint residue found on your vehicle is a forensic match to a can of Rust-Oleum Cherry Red currently sitting on the workbench in your garage, not my client's. The courtroom went completely silent. During discovery, I'd gotten a warrant to search both properties for spray paint. Marcus's garage had nothing but old car parts and his dad's tools, but Richard's pristine garage had a can of Rust-Oleum Cherry Red sitting on his workbench, fresh. The lab found his fingerprints on it and trace amounts of the same paint under his fingernails. The prosecutor asked for an immediate recess. She came back 20 minutes later, wouldn't look at Richard, and quietly moved to dismiss all charges against Marcus. Turns out Richard and Marcus had been in a bitter 6-month dispute over Marcus parking his beat-up 2004 Honda Civic directly in front of Richard's house. Richard had called the police 4 times, filed multiple HOA complaints, even tried to get the car towed twice. Nothing worked because it was a public street, so he decided to frame the kid and teach him a lesson. The insurance claim Richard filed was for $4,200 in paint damage and detailing. That single decision bumped it from a petty scheme to felony insurance fraud on top of filing a false police report and evidence tampering. The bailiff arrested Richard right there in the courtroom. He kept protesting, saying it was just about property values and respect. Marcus's mom started crying and hugged me so hard in the hallway, I thought my ribs would crack. His dad just kept repeating, "Thank you," over and over. All I could think was, thank God I actually drove to that garage and looked around instead of just assuming we'd lose based on the footage. Richard ended up pleading guilty to avoid trial. Last I heard, he got 8 months and his insurance company sued him for the fraudulent claim. Marcus still parks in front of his house.